Chris and Yvonne Smith started dating early in high school, but the two teenagers brought heavy baggage into their relationship. Chris was raised by an alcoholic.
The funny thing is I didn't want to drink because I saw that, but I went to something else. I started out smoking marijuana basically with some friends. Then that progressed into cocaine. I used to sell marijuana for the same reason, to supply my own habit.
Yvonne's scars ran even deeper. At 4 years old, she was raped by an extended family member. A couple of years later, she was sexually abused by a neighborhood child.
It feels like so much of that fun and that innocence was gone. And I know that that had such a huge effect on my thoughts of myself and my stepping out into promiscuity.
6 months after Chris and Yvonne started dating, she was pregnant.
I was shocked, so to speak. Really, I didn't know how to take it. And my first instinct was abortion.
But as soon as I felt that baby move inside of me, this maternal instinct kicked in, and I'm still amazed so young that I could love this child so much.
After their daughter Kristen was born, the couple decided to get married. Yvonne was a wife and mother before the end of high school, and Chris dropped out to pay bills. Shortly after getting married, Yvonne joined Chris in his drug habit.
It kind of deadened any of those feelings of self-loathing that I had my whole life, and it just spiraled. Everything just spiraled downward. Every Friday we would pick up our runner and we would take him to this area that was horrible. I mean, horrible, and my little girl was in the back seat.
And then we'd go divvy it up and do what we did. Tell you the truth, I was probably too stoned to even comprehend the realization of what I was doing and putting her in that situation.
2 years into the marriage, their relationship was falling apart.
I felt horrible. I didn't want to talk to him. I didn't want to trust my heart to him. And I'm like, how do I get out of this? And it felt like it was a never-ending cycle. I felt like there's something so strong missing in me, and I don't know what it is.
One night, while watching television, Yvonne found what she was looking for.
I'm woken up in the middle of the night, and it was 2:30 in the morning, and I couldn't go back to sleep, so I'm flipping through the channels, and just this man's face comes up, and he just was so peaceful. He looked like he had something that I'd never known.
Yvonne watched the 700 Club 3 nights in a row.
And he just pointed out and he said, somebody out there right now, you need to know how much God loves you. You need to receive Jesus. Ask him to come into your heart, and he will right now. I said that prayer, and in my heart, I knew everything was different.
Yvonne started going to church and stopped using drugs. But Chris wasn't open to her new faith.
I didn't want any part of her change. We had some heated discussions about it, and even actually the word divorce and separation had came up in those discussions. I was still blinded, I guess, as to how much freedom she had.
I just had an amazing peace. I knew my Father loved me, and I didn't need a drug. Nothing could compare to the love that my Father had for me.
Yvonne prayed for Chris for 6 years.
He was still very much in his lifestyle, and at that Word of Faith church, I would come in, and it was always packed, but I'd always save a seat next to me. And I knew that my husband was going to be there someday.
On Mother's Day 1998, Yvonne wrote Chris a letter.
She told me how she loved me and how Jesus loved me, and that she wasn't going to turn her back on me, and that God wasn't, and I needed to read this prayer of salvation that she wrote in there. And I did do that, and just knowing that if I was the only one, you know, he would do those things for me. He would give up his life for just me. Looks like an eternity of love and peace and happiness in your spirit and soul.
I saw it all over his face. He just looked different. His countenance had changed, his face had changed, and tears just began to stream down. And I said, that 6 years was over. And it was so worth it. It was so worth it.
The couple say Jesus Christ completely restored their marriage and through prayer healed their addictions. They recently renewed their vows on their 25th wedding anniversary, and they have started their own ministry called Vine Life.
It's a love story, really. And once we gave ourselves to Jesus, we just totally just grew together in one love, in his love.
Don't give up, ever. It's worth it. It's more rewarding than anything to have a marriage that is so good for you, but it's so good for your children to see. If he would do it for me, he'll do it for anyone.